Mother raised a pair of sisters from foster care to serve as private bodyguards for me and my brother. The elder sister Jessica had a smoking hot figure and immediately developed feelings for my brother Noah, only leaving me with a younger sister Chloe who had autism. Not wanting Chloe to be sent back to foster care and continue being bullied, I straightforwardly accepted the arrangement. She wouldn't speak, so I took her to see the best psychiatrists at top hospitals across America. Every day I set aside 2 hours to tell her jokes, even though she never responded. Since she couldn't protect me, I learned martial arts to strengthen myself and begged my mother not to send people away. I thought she was just traumatized, that if I was patient enough, she would surely recover. Until the day the yacht capsized, she forcibly stripped the last life jacket from my body. She spoke to me for the first time. "I'm sorry, but Noah's life jacket is broken." Noah was my brother. She watched me sink deeper, giving my hand one final squeeze. "This life I've wronged you, I'll repay you in the next." So her autism was only directed at me after all. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I was choosing a bodyguard. I stood frozen before the two sisters, unable to react. My brother glanced at me and hesitated. "Forget it. I'll choose Chloe after all. Ethan is physically weak, he needs someone more capable to protect him." With that, he moved from Jessica's side to stand beside her younger sister Chloe. That voluptuous sister visibly panicked for a moment. I still didn't respond, my mind processing this scene of rebirth. In my previous life, I too had hesitated after watching sister and brother choose each other. Seeing this, brother also offered to swap bodyguards with me. Seeing his aggrieved expression now, I genuinely thought he wanted to give sister to me. I naively believed he was looking out for me, so I stubbornly refused no matter what he said. I didn't want my brother to suffer any disadvantage, nor did I want to see that little bodyguard go back and get bullied. When the yacht capsized, although my brother initially refused to wear my life jacket, he eventually let the two sisters put it on him. His bodyguard Jessica was clearly a professional lifeguard. There was a floating log right within his reach, yet he merely insisted verbally about not wearing my life jacket. He was always like this, certain that I wouldn't stand by and watch others yield for me, confident I would refuse. He lost nothing, yet still earned a reputation for being handsome and kind. But this time, I nodded and said, "All right." My brother, who had been waiting for my refusal, stiffened in surprise. It wasn't just him who froze. Chloe also looked at me, her eyes filled with confusion and shock. "No," Mother spoke up. "You're the eldest son of the Davis family. Your safety is what matters most. This sister has autism and can't even speak. She's not suitable for you." I smiled. So Chloe's condition was something she already knew all about. But she still brought her younger sister along, as if letting my brother and me choose was merely a formality from the start. But my brother secretly heaved a sigh of relief, wiping the corners of his eyes just as he was about to speak, when Chloe unexpectedly interrupted. "I can speak." I looked up in astonishment. Had Chloe, who hadn't uttered a word for 7 years in her previous life, really started speaking this early? Seeing the gaze in her eyes that didn't belong to her age, I finally confirmed. She was also reborn. Indeed, saying things like "I'll repay you in the next life" when given a real second chance. She's still afraid of becoming mine again. But she doesn't know yet, I don't want her anymore. As for compatibility, Sir can reassess me. Chloe continued. I don't doubt Chloe's skills at all. After my death, my soul witnessed firsthand as she fought to protect my brother until help arrived, diving into the water like a mermaid and spearing the shark through its fatal weakness with a single thrust of her harpoon. How laughable. In my past life, I studied combat myself, paranoid that Mother might send the seemingly fragile little bodyguard back to her foster family. Indeed, once Chloe dropped the act, she pinned the national champion in just 3 moves. Mother began to waver, and the resentment vanished from my brother's face. Between the sisters, it was always Chloe who was more beautiful. Were it not for her autism, brother would have chosen her instead. Fine, then let Chloe protect you. Jessica, we'll entrust the second young master to your care. Hearing our mother's arrangement, my sister Jessica shot me a glance. When she noticed the scar on my face, she visibly frowned. She knelt down. "Madam, please send me back to the foster home." 2. What does this mean? Mother frowned. A $500,000 salary a year still can't keep you here, and you'd rather go back to that place where they serve cheap fast food? Jessica couldn't hide her disgust at the sight of my face. I'm not fortunate enough to serve the second young master, I sighed. Ever since I got this scar at age 10 while saving my brother Noah Davis, this face has been despised everywhere. Perhaps it was also because of this that Chloe treated me so harshly in my previous life. Jessica, are you going to abandon your little sister? My brother anxiously grabbed her arm, trying to pull her up. Jessica gazed at him with affection and said, I didn't come here for him in the first place. I remained silent. My brother quickly concealed his fleeting joy and frowned. No, that's absolutely unreasonable. I won't let you go back and suffer. What's so difficult about this? I interjected. Big brother can just take both sisters under his wing. Big brother's face flushed slightly. You, stop talking nonsense. Both Jessica and Chloe were exceptionally good looking, and from the moment they stepped through the door, Big Brother couldn't take his eyes off them. Mother seemed lost in thought. You really don't want them? No, I'm not interested in either of them. The sisters both turned to look at me, seemingly pondering what right I had to say such a thing. Chloe's expression grew even more complex, as if it wasn't just simple confusion. I didn't understand, nor did I want to analyze her. Then can you guarantee your own safety? Probably not. I shook my head. Mother froze for a moment. So Mother should send me to my sister Olivia's place. She has a security team around her. In my past life, I devoted all my heart and soul to Chloe. I even neglected the family business. I wasn't like my elder brother. Though Mother always claimed to love all her children equally, the trust fund was always reserved only for my brother and sister. While my sister worked hard to expand the family fortune, causing the trust fund to grow year after year, my brother's annual dividends alone surpassed what ordinary people could earn in a lifetime. And yet I had to ask my mother for Chloe's medical bills. If I wanted to elevate my own status, I'd have to enter the competition myself. My elder sister wouldn't even meet this lesser-favored younger brother. She just had her secretary toss me a meaningless position and never contacted me again. I'm not angry, just quietly doing my own thing. In my previous life, I never explored my potential, but now that I'm doing it, I'm surprised by my own business acumen. After securing that tough investor, my sister actually hosted me for once. She threw me a welcome party that was 3 months overdue. She even assigned some of her current business to me. The company was going through a bottleneck period and needed all hands on deck. Even if she preferred my brother, she had no choice but to value me. Gradually, my reputation in the industry even began to rival my brother's good looks. One day when I returned home, my brother stopped me. Ethan, don't you think you're being too flashy? I frowned. You're showing off everywhere and making too many public appearances. I'm not trying to bring you down, brother, but your recent success is mostly due to luck. If you mess up in the future, it's the Davis family's reputation that'll suffer. Besides, you already have that scar on your face. Flaunting it everywhere will only make girls dislike you more. With a meaningful glance at Chloe, he added, I suppose you'd better stop bothering your sister from now on. Let your brother take care of you instead. I cut straight to the chase. You're just afraid I'll steal your spotlight, aren't you? He was stunned. Brother, what's your reason for asking me not to make a fuss? As the true heir and trust fund holder of the family? No matter how you look at it, you're a beneficiary of the system. What right do you have to patronizingly advise me not to compete or fight for my share? Ethan, his eyes suddenly reddened, but I refused to spare his dignity. Since my dear brother brought up the scar on my face, I must ask, has he forgotten what he did to me when we were 10? I was just trying to help by stopping that attacker for you. If brother hadn't pushed me again, how could I have fallen right into that person's arms? How could my face have been ruined like this? Brother's face turned deathly pale, the corners of his eyes reddening, wearing a completely heartbroken expression. You don't need to cry. After all, you're not the one who's been wronged here. Just focus on being heaven's chosen one like always. As I turned to leave, he choked back sobs, his eyes filled with nothing but hurt. No, Ethan. I didn't mean it like that, brother. I was just worried about you. How could you think of me that way? Tears fell drop by drop as he spoke. That's enough. Jessica, who had been following closely behind the older brother, swiftly stepped forward to shield him. Second young master, you're going too far. The older brother hurriedly pulled her back, shaking his head with reddened eyes. It's okay, I'm fine. The voice trembled slightly as the words were spoken. A flicker of heartache flashed in Chloe's eyes as she looked at me. You really went too far. Apologize. I thought I must have misheard. Yet Chloe kept her steady gaze on me. Smack, a slap landed across her face, and Noah gasped, shielding her with his body. Ethan, how could you hit someone? I flexed my wrist. Big brother should learn to discipline his people properly, otherwise these two wouldn't even know who's the master and who's the servant. You, Jessica gritted her teeth. Chloe covered her face, looking at me with unprecedented shock. I turned and walked away without giving them any chance to speak. I had planned to sleep and then pack my belongings to leave, never to see Noah or those two women again. But the next morning, someone pounded heavily on my bedroom door. Jessica clearly had no regard for respect, grabbing my arm the moment I opened it. The young master has been kidnapped. Come with me. Fortunately, I had learned some martial arts in my past life. After struggling briefly, I managed to push her away. Show some respect. And what does this kidnapping have to do with me? How dare you say that? Jessica's eyes were red, looking like she hadn't slept all night. If you hadn't said such awful things last night, how could the young master have run away heartbroken and gotten kidnapped by enemies? You caused all of this. You're coming with me right now to trade yourself for him. The door was flung open, revealing Chloe's deathly pale face. She looked up at us on the upper floor. Has the young master returned? Jessica grabbed my arm and lifted it up. No, but the kidnappers said there's a chance for an exchange. Since it was the second young master who got Noah kidnapped to begin with, now's his time to make amends. Let go. I slapped Jessica across the face. A mere bodyguard, how dare you lay hands on me? A red handprint bloomed on Jessica's cheek, yet her gaze held no remorse as she looked at me. Apologies, second young master, but this isn't your decision to make. For the young master, we're willing to risk our lives even if it means overstepping our bounds. With that, she grabbed my arm and turned her head. Little sister, come help out. My limited combat skills might last a few rounds against Jessica, but Chloe was different. I was slammed to the ground with a bang, Chloe's high heels hovering before my eyes. I struggled desperately against Jessica's strength. The outcome now rested entirely with Chloe. I lifted my head and looked at her pleadingly. Chloe, help me. I'm begging you, help me. Her gaze flickered. She closed her eyes momentarily, but what came out was, I'm sorry. Thud, the two of them pinned me to the ground together. 5. On the way to meet the kidnappers, Chloe and I rode in the same car, keeping a close eye on me. You've been reborn too. She broke the silence first. I replied coldly, yet you're still as cruel to me as ever. She paused, then whispered softly, I'm sorry. Slap. A crisp slap landed on her face. What I've needed least in both my lifetimes are those frivolous 3 words. Her face tilted slightly to one side. Strands of hair obscured her brows and eyes, making her expression unreadable. She finally spoke in a heavy voice. I promise, this will be the last time. She gripped my hand fiercely. To exchange him out, to fulfill a bodyguard's final act of loyalty, I'll pay any price to rescue you. I just sneered coldly. She gripped my hand tighter. This is only a temporary measure. I won't let you really get hurt. The hostage exchange took place in an abandoned industrial zone. My brother and I passed by each other. He suddenly started running. Chloe, Jessica. I jerked my head around. Chloe was the first to rush out and threw herself onto her brother. Jessica deftly cut through his ropes with nimble hands. Chloe clung to him tightly, her hands trembling slightly. Reading her lips, she seemed to be saying, I'm sorry, I failed to protect you. An inexplicable emotion suddenly welled up in my heart, even though I'd already prepared myself to be disregarded. A hand yanked me over, interrupting my train of thought. I wanted to say something more, but my mouth was already covered. 6. I've been locked in this darkroom for 3 days. There isn't a patch of unbroken skin left on my body to endure another lash. The boss was so furious he started throwing things. Aren't you the second young master of the Davis family? Why hasn't a single penny arrived in 3 days? Are you really the second young master or not? I smiled bitterly. The Davis family only had one true young master. Unfortunately, it wasn't me. I'll give you one last chance. The man approached me with a syringe. This injection will amplify your pain several times over. Call your family. If they agree to send the money immediately, I'll let you go. If not, I'll have no choice but to mail your 10 fingers back to them. What? No. The liquid injected into my neck made my breathing instantly accelerate. Hit it. The phone was shoved into my hand. I frantically scrolled through the contacts list. Mom and sister Olivia's lines were busy. Brother didn't pick up. Chloe. Hello? Chloe. I grabbed at this lifeline like drowning man clutching straws. Bring money quickly. They've drugged me and are going to cut off all 10 of my fingers. The music on the other end of the phone was deafening. I was somewhat astonished. What are you doing? Ethan, today is Noah's birthday. It wouldn't be good to ruin it. I widened my eyes. What do you mean? Hold on a little longer. After the birthday, I'll come get you. But if I don't get the money now, I'll be. Ethan, just one night. Please don't make a scene. The kidnapper scoffed coldly, clearly having no expectations. My teeth chattered as I trembled. But you promised I wouldn't actually get hurt. A pause hung on the line before the reply came. Hold on a little longer. I swear. After speaking, he hung up the phone. Hello? Hello? Chloe. When I called back, the line indicated it was powered off. The kidnapper clicked his tongue twice. Are you really the Davis family's young master? Damn it. Wasting my time. I stopped my tears and slowly straightened up. The grief gradually faded, replaced by coldness. Stop the act. Untie me. The men who had been swaggering about moments ago immediately straightened up and began cutting my ropes. Mr. Blackwood, my apologies. I tossed the ropes to the ground and turned around. Done. Standing at the dock, I glanced back at the towering flames and wiped away the makeup-drawn whip marks on my body. I offered my hand to the woman on the boat. Her face was shadowed in the lamplight, a vicious scar running across it. From now on, Ethan Davis ceased to exist in this world. There remained only a sworn enemy eyeing the Davis family covetously. 7. Chloe seemed distracted at the birthday party. Her mind was completely occupied by that phone call earlier. After waving goodbye to her sister who was still chatting and laughing with Noah Davis, she left the venue for a quiet corner. She dialed the number again. Sorry, the number you have dialed is currently switched off. Her heart tightened. She dialed again. The same automated message played. That frantic voice echoed in her mind. They injected me with drugs. They're going to chop off all 10 fingers. You promised I wouldn't get genuinely hurt. Yet Noah's birthday party was important to him too. Noah had even just asked her to dance with him later. Chloe gritted her teeth and immediately made a call. Prepare $5 million in cash. We're going somewhere. Chloe, a clear voice called out from behind. She turned around to see Noah Davis standing in the moonlit garden, dressed in bespoke formal attire, looking like an angel. Why did you run off and leave me alone here? He approached Chloe, his eyes reflecting the starry sky. Chloe tensed up. Second young master, there might be danger. Not at all. Noah adjusted her collar for her, his fingers subtly brushing past her lips. The kidnappers treated me quite well, even served fruit platters every day. See, not a single scratch on me since I returned. They wouldn't dare lay a finger on Ethan if they wanted the money. That boy's always been timid. This is just his dramatic act because we didn't respond for 3 days, afraid we'd abandoned him. Chloe hesitated for a moment, but that's enough. Noah cupped her face in his hands. You promised to dance with me. Tomorrow, I'll go with you to bring him home. You're not planning to back out, are you? Noah's breath brushed against her skin, and Chloe's own hitched in her throat. Her hands involuntarily wrapped around his neck just then. Her phone suddenly rang urgently. She answered with some impatience. No need to prepare the money in car. What did you say? The phone nearly slipped from his hand as Noah froze in disbelief. Chloe? To his shock, Chloe suddenly pushed him aside and ran off at full speed. Amid the roaring flames, firefighters were busy extinguishing the blaze. There's no other way out here. If you really want to escape, the only option is to jump into the sea. Get out of my way. Chloe went wild, trying to leap into the ocean but was firmly restrained by her subordinates. Yet how could they possibly hold Chloe back? Just as Chloe was about to jump, a sharp slap landed hard across her face. Wake up! It was Jessica, my sister. Jessica's fists trembled slightly as she gasped for breath. How do you know Ethan Davis isn't just faking his death? He's always been so cunning. What are you saying? Chloe covered her face, her voice trembling slightly as she looked at her sister. Her chest heaving violently a few times, the elder sister resolved to keep spinning the tale. No body was found. No kidnappers were caught. What if this is all just a play directed by that Ethan? He just wants to see you panic. If you really jump, that's when he'll truly make a fool out of you. Chloe opened her mouth, then actually laughed. Right, he could be faking his death. He wouldn't die. She stood up, the corners of her eyes tinged with faint red from desperation. He faked his death. I'm sure of it. The body's been found. Someone shouted. Chloe whipped her head around. As the white-shrouded corpse was carried out, she lunged forward like a madwoman. Sister! Jessica tried to stop her but was violently shaken off. Sister, don't look! But Chloe had already yanked off the white cloth. The corpse was charred black, its face unrecognizable, yet the body build matched the second young master's. Her gaze traveled downward when her pupils suddenly contracted. The fingers? She asked the forensic examiner in a trembling voice. Where have all his 10 fingers gone? The forensic examiner was also stunned by her aggressive questioning. Sis, stop causing trouble. They're just doing their job. Don't make it hard for them. Jessica hugged her sister from behind, but Chloe seemed to have gone mad. Where are his fingers? Where are the fingers, sis? Jessica shouted with all her might. Seeing her sister on the verge of collapse, she sighed. Let's go home. Home first. But once they returned home, Jessica regretted it. The kidnapper sent a package. Inside, neatly arranged, lay 10 blood-stained fingers. 9. Noah Davis was suddenly choked and pinned against the wall. Jessica was stunned and rushed to grab her sister. Are you crazy? He's the young master. Chloe seemed not to hear her at all. Did you know everything? Were those people yours? You told me you were well taken care of there. Then what's with these fingers? Noah Davis widened his eyes in horror, barely managing to choke out a weak voice. I don't know, sister. Jessica slapped her sister across the face, barely managing to create some distance between Chloe and Noah. Seizing the opportunity, she hurriedly positioned herself in front of Noah, fiercely guarding against her own sister. The young master has nothing to do with this. You should consider whether it's the second young master putting on an act. Chloe gave a bitter smile. He did call me. I had a chance to save him. If it weren't for the young master falsifying military intelligence, why would I have cancelled my trip? Noah Davis. It was the first time Chloe had addressed him by his full name. Tell me the truth, what's your real connection with those kidnappers? Chloe. Noah's lips trembled slightly, his face etched with heartbreak. Sister. Jessica tugged at Chloe, apologized to the young master. Chloe simply fixed Noah with a deathly stare. Speak. You know perfectly well no one in this house can stop me. Sister. Jessica hissed another low warning. Noah's tears fell to the ground. He nodded, then suddenly grabbed the decorative longsword from the wall, unsheathed it, and pressed the blade against his own neck. Chloe froze for a moment. Jessica had already rushed forward. Young master. The longsword was wrested away and thrown to the floor, but a bloody wound had already appeared on Noah's neck. He was still desperately reaching for the sword. Let go. Must I die to prove my innocence? Don't stop me. Let me join Ethan. Jessica held the person tightly in her arms, anxiously scolding her sister. What are you standing there for? Apologize now. Noah, with reddened eyes, glared at Chloe. Chloe, if you don't believe me, I'll cut out my heart to show you. Would you believe me then? Watching the blood beads form on his neck, Chloe took several steps forward. He pulled the person tightly into his arms. I'm sorry. Chloe's voice was filled with remorse. Jessica finally breathed a sigh of relief. Watching her sister hold the other so tightly, the worry she had just dismissed crept back into her expression. 10. Across the ocean in a dimly lit room, I watched the steadily declining stock prices of the Davis Group as I swirled my wineglass in satisfaction before sinking into the sofa. Congratulations, Mr. Blackwood. Soon the Davis Group will be trampled beneath your feet. I, under the alias Blackwood, curled my lips. I never imagined the second young master of the Davis family could be even more ruthless toward his own kin than I'd anticipated. You overthink things, Ms. Ava. What member of the Davis family would refuse to save their own son and younger brother? That day when I begged for help, mother and sister weren't truly occupied, because for such celebrations involving their brother, they would cancel all work commitments to accompany him. The busy tone was simply because they hung up on me. This was also confirmed by Eva Blackwood's informant planted at the party. Mother already considered me disposable. As for my sister, she'd already used me to secure her CEO position. Now I was no longer useful. Luckily, Lady Ava replaced the kidnappers my brother hired in time, otherwise, I might have really lost all 10 fingers. Ava Blackwood curled her lips. Just considering your opinion. But, I heard you've been investigating the Blackwood family's accounts lately? My hand holding the wineglass froze in mid-shake. Her scarred face curled into a dangerous smile as she straddled me, gripping my chin. Remember why we came together. Beyond taking down the Davis Group, you shouldn't touch anything else. I can fake a person's death, and I can make it real too. My breathing faltered for just an instant. I curled my lips and grasped her hand. Of course, Ms. Ava, we're going to make the best partners. She froze for a moment, then released me. The private doctor said your face can be cured. Get ready for the surgery soon. My eyes lit up slightly. Seeing her about to leave, I called out to her. Your face, why don't you give it a try too? She turned back. Do you care that much about how I look? I hurriedly reassured her. I didn't mean it like that. Please feel free. She glanced at me and closed the door behind her. Point 11. I first connected with Ava Blackwood when I was sent to live with my sister Olivia. The Blackwoods and the Devises were sworn enemies. Back then, the Devises had used underhanded means to drive Ava's parents to their deaths, forcing the Blackwood family to flee overseas. Ava Blackwood magnanimously took me in, the son of her family's sworn enemies, without bearing any grudges. She needed to get married in order to inherit her parents' estate and fend off those covetous uncles. Yet the scar on her face and her unsmiling nature always made her undesirable in men's eyes. I needed strong backup to stand against my brother and the entire Davis family, who could kick me out at any moment. As it turned out, my precautions weren't wrong. The two of us, scarred and unwelcomed, came together just like that. After the scar on my face was healed, I stopped declining invitations to major social events. In the past, I would always avoid attending if possible, and if I had to go, I would wear a mask, to the point where I almost forgot what I originally looked like. Ava, however, didn't care at all. She openly appeared at various gatherings, disregarding those rumors about an ugly woman clinging to a handsome man. It wasn't until later that I learned, when Ava looped her arm through mine as we came and went, there was always a woman sitting quietly nearby, watching me. That day, drunk and disoriented, I stumbled in the stairwell, barely able to stand, when suddenly a hand reached out from behind to steady me. The second young master has been merciless towards the Davis family lately. That voice. I whipped around, suddenly half sober. Chloe. She was dressed in an elegant gown and looked completely put together, nothing like her former bodyguard appearance. Blending seamlessly into the crowd of socialites. How did you find this place? I belong to the young master, she said, looking at me, so naturally I represent his interests. I clenched my fists. The Devises were in trouble, trust funds were depreciating, and dividends like Noah's might disappear. You might even end up with massive debt. No wonder Davis Group's stock price has been showing signs of recovery recently. It should have been a decisive victory, but why did Chloe have to show up? Why do you always oppose me? I'm not opposing you. She took a step closer, and my back pressed against the wall. I just wouldn't have been able to find you using their resources without invoking his name, nor would I have had the chance to do so. Young master, you're even smarter and more capable than I imagined. Do you know how long I've been searching for you? I slapped away her reaching hand with a sharp smack, leaving an instant red mark across her knuckles. She didn't mind at all. Instead, she laughed. It's true, all of this is real. You didn't die. I knew my persistence was right. Ethan, she said with visible emotion, gripping my hand tightly, come home with me. Let go. I struggled violently and shoved her away fiercely. Why can't you just pretend I'm dead? Why must you haunt me like this? As if struck by my words, her eyes actually reddened slightly. Of course, for quite a long time I thought you were dead. Do you have any idea how I lived through those days? She pressed me against the wall, looking up at me with devout eyes. I never knew a room could feel so empty without you in it. I had already made up my mind, if heaven gave me another chance, I would honor my promise with my life and never let you get hurt again. I attempted suicide, but my sister always found me. I thought I'd wander in a daze until death reunited us, until I discovered someone was consistently targeting the Davis family, yet couldn't pinpoint their motives. Even then, I knew you likely weren't dead. Only you could orchestrate something like this. Her breathing grew increasingly unsteady as she spoke, until she unexpectedly reached up to caress my face. Ethan, I don't want to be your bodyguard anymore. I want to become someone you can never live without. The Davis Group means nothing. I just want to take you away from all this. Is that so? I leaned closer to her. Then listen carefully. The time when I loved you most has already passed. I don't want you anymore. Her breath caught. If you try to force me, I'll find a way to die just to spite you, I swear. She looked at me with a complicated expression. I let out a cold laugh and turned to leave. 12. No sooner had I stepped out than a handkerchief was handed to me. Turning around, I met Ava's frosty gaze. Didn't you come to sober up? What kept you so long? Taking the handkerchief in surprise, I remarked, I never thought Ms. Ava would personally come looking for me. A cold chuckle escaped her lips. Don't flatter yourself. I'm merely curious. Who did you meet? She raised an eyebrow meaningfully. I laughed. I knew nothing could escape Madame Eva's eyes. Mr. Blackwood, she looked into my eyes. Working with me requires absolute loyalty, otherwise, ever since she discovered I was investigating the Blackwood family accounts, she'd been particularly wary of me. But I couldn't say that checking her accounts was simply because I didn't trust her either. That would ruin our partnership entirely. I covered her mouth. Don't worry, I definitely wasn't secretly meeting with your arch-nemesis or anything. She raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. I had no idea what Chloe was thinking. I never saw her again, nor did she oppose me anymore. The Davis Group was truly declining day by day. On the day when the Blackwood Group announced its acquisition of the Davis Group, I was originally supposed to go with them. Because the agreement between Eva and me was that I would help her secure the inheritance, and she would help me take control of the Davis Group. But I had barely stepped outside when everything went black and I passed out. When I came to, I found myself lying in an unfamiliar manner. His wrists and ankles were tied to the bed. Bear with it, Ethan. The familiar voice rang out. Chloe. I froze, then an uncontrollable fury surged within me. Let me go. She sat on the edge of the bed and gently touched my face. That won't do. You said if I took you away, you'd kill yourself. Even if you're not a man of your word, I still have to guard against that possibility. This is kidnapping. Of course I know. She smiled and said, so, I've long been prepared never to return to America. This island is our home forever. I froze. What do you mean? She leaned closer. I've been searching for the best place for us to dwell all this time. I traveled all over the world and found this place, vast lands, few people, and perpetual spring, just the climate you love. Ethan, I know you're angry with me, and that's okay. I have decades to make it up to you. When you finally understand and promise not to attempt suicide again, I'll naturally let you go. She gazed at me dreamily. Believe me, Ethan, even on this island, I'll make sure you have the best life possible. I turned my head away from her. She laughed. Do you think Eva Blackwood will come to save you? Today is the day she takes over Davis Group. If she misses this opportunity, there won't be another. I clenched my teeth. She was right. Eva and I were just a transaction, and now was the time to cash in. How could our bond be strong enough for her to come and save me? Moreover, even if Chloe had the intention, she wouldn't be able to track down my whereabouts with her limited capabilities. Ethan, she pressed her forehead against mine. Let's have a son. I want to see what you looked like as a child. Trap me, as well as trap you. No. My teeth were clenched so tight I thought they'd shatter. Let me go. Just as we were about to kiss, the alarm abruptly sounded. Chloe released me, glanced at the surveillance monitor, and shockingly curled her lips into a smirk as she pulled out a gun. Ava Blackwood actually dared to come here? Ava Blackwood? I froze. Chloe chambered around and said, after she dies here, looks like this island will have to be closed for a while. No, Chloe. I tried to stop her, but she had already opened the door and walked out. I was frantic, my gaze falling on the fruit knife on the table. Summoning all my strength, I clenched the knife handle between my teeth at 14 when I finally rushed downstairs. The first thing I saw were the bodyguards sprawled across the floor in all directions, and Chloe's drawn gun. Stop! Suddenly I threw myself in front of Ava. The dark muzzle of the gun pressed directly against my forehead. Ethan? The two women froze simultaneously. Chloe looked at me in astonishment. You'd rather die than take a bullet for her? Chloe smiled tantalizingly. I stared at her unblinkingly. Eva moved to intervene, but Chloe slowly lowered her gun. Turning her back, she said, Go, Chloe? I asked, bewildered. Hurry, I might change my mind any second. Ava kept a wary eye on her, pulling me away step by step. Just as we were about to leave, Chloe called out to me, Ethan. I turned around. The distance was too great for her to see clearly. I can't keep being your bodyguard, protecting you forever. I turned to leave. Just as I stepped out, a gunshot suddenly rang out from inside the room. I whipped my head around, but Eva covered my eyes. Don't look. I knew Chloe had taken her own life. 15. Eva Blackwood missed the final acquisition opportunity, but by the time we returned to the U.S., the Davis family had collapsed without a fight. The Davis family had more branches than ours. When trouble came, each faction was too busy protecting itself, draining all its energy in internal conflicts. I met my brother at the police station. The kidnappers that day had been part of a scheme he orchestrated. He feared my abilities, and even more so, my potential rise to power. Unlike my sister, I wouldn't share the spoils with him, so he simply went for the kill. Little did he expect that upon returning home, his entire team had already been replaced by Eva. His kidnapping charges were confirmed, and he was facing imprisonment. I saw Jessica. She had lost weight. With sunken eyes, it seemed she hadn't slept well for a long time. Seeing me, she gave a bitter laugh. My foolish sister, you really were willing to throw your life away for her. I furrowed my brows. Do you think she's worthy? Jessica clenched her teeth. With reddened eyes, she stumbled out of the police station. Days later, I placed a bouquet before Chloe's tombstone and whispered softly to the grave. Ava suddenly spoke up. Let me get rid of this scar. I looked up curiously. Why suddenly remove it? With it removed, perhaps you'll like it better. I was baffled. She glanced somewhat awkwardly at Chloe's tombstone. Did you like her? I laughed. What are you thinking? I just told her that we're ending things here, and even if there's a next life, she shouldn't come looking for me again. Ava looked somewhat better, but after returning, she still couldn't wait to have the scar removed. I couldn't help but laugh. Her previous appearance had a unique charm with or without the scar. However, I didn't expect that the first thing she did after removing the scar was to hand financial authority over to me. Does Miss Ava trust me so much? My past actions were my mistake. Her apology came out somewhat awkwardly. You can handle the Blackwood Group's finances as you please from now on. I laughed. Ms. Ava, are you really planning to spend your whole life with me? If you're not satisfied, we can divorce. I won't force you. I burst out laughing and took her hand. No divorces. Ms. Ava is my best business partner after all. She looked at me. Just business partners? I corrected myself. Wife. A faint blush spread across her cheeks. The end.